All right, this video is going to be somewhat, kind of, possibly a long one. Reason being is I have seen sort of discourse over the last week or so talking about content and why content seems to sort of ramp up and scale as MLB The Show's lifespan goes on. Now, as the former failed wannabe journalist I wanted to sort of take a look back and use sort of the few videos I have made prior to this year and kind of look over them and see if there was a little bit more. Now, granted, again, I didn't record a whole lot from previous MLB The Shows really until about halfway last year when I really dug my heels into the ground and pushed it, and same thing with this year. Now, ultimately, I just sort of want to see if this is a continuing trend, because the last 2 years, it very much sort of seems like the first leg is kind of slow and monotonous, and then it's like, whoo, like a rocket. So again, we're going to take a look at everything from previous and see if it's really picked up a lot. Realistically, I couldn't tell you. Okay, so we're just going to sort of start there, and we'll work our way up from 21, sort of going up. If I have to kind of bounce around to find other channels, we'll find other channels, and we will credit them accordingly. Okay, sound good? Sound good. All right, let's start with the newest one and sort of see where we're at, and we'll work our way from there. Cool. So starting off strongly here, this is, so ignoring the 9 so far, I do think we have gotten way more content this go around than we have previously. So this season, apart from the 10 we already got, it's apart from that, we got a home run, a retro All-Star game, retro home run derby. We're excluding packs, I guess. So if we include the pack ones, we got a couple of them. We got, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 programs apart. So in total, there's about 20 plus 2, because I think there's some core ones down there. So let's say 22 total. Out of season, minus the ones we did, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like we've doubled as we went. Now, is that an indication of anything else? Possibly. Hey, granted, too, if we jump back over here, we got another one coming on Friday. One we had last year, too, called for the good old, for the moonshot. As you see, I think I'm blocking it here, but it says moonshot event and program. So there's even another program coming. Now, ultimately here, does that ultimately sort of ruin what we've ultimately gotten so far? Does it mean that content early on is just sluggish? Well, yes, the answer is yes. Granted, I don't think it's the reason people are talking about. And what's the reason people are talking about? Well, they're bringing up Team Affinity, and this has been kind of the struggle and such for it. Ignore my Team Affinity. I take more time off, but I've developed a new strategy, and it seems to be working a little bit better, so we should be okay. But they're talking about it being Team Affinity, and how Team Affinity might possibly be the reason we're kind of in a weird slump of content. Now, ultimately, do any of these cards ultimately tickle your tail feather? Maybe. I think some people care about some of them, but ultimately, at the end of the day, are we really going to be starting Kyle Ripken? Probably not. David Ortiz? Possibly. You know, Bernie Williams? Possibly. You know, these two guys are definite possibilities. In terms of some of the other guys, it's just, a lot of it feels to me like possibly. Torrey Hunter, you might start. Roy Oswalt might be in the rotation. I think Raleigh Fingers is a guy you're probably going to start. But it's like some of these guys, like Michael Young, probably not. You know, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot to really do there, and a lot to kind of give and take, and a lot that really makes people want to do this. Now, ultimately, I don't think that this is really the crux of the problem that we're allegedly talking about in terms of content being a slow drip. I personally think the reason why content's a slow drip is when it comes to live content early on, and some of the stuff they can and can't do. I think they're a little bit more so focused on, I don't want to say middle of the year, but I think when we're looking at like All-Star event, I think All-Star stuff is sort of like the big crux. It's the high point. So you're kind of, you know, you're sort of woo, boom, right? And right now we sort of happen to be on to it. Now, I think we should start sort of taking a look at some of the other stuff. So let's jump into 21. I found a little, we'll look at some videos and sort of see if 21 really was all that's cracked up to be. Let's start there and we'll kind of work our way backward. Alrighty, so here, this is a video from me, 21. I'm hiding my really fat face there, believe it or not. But we're talking here, this is where to, so team update where to start. So this is like literally sort of first going here. And let's just point out, this is just Conquest. We're not necessarily talking about Conquest, but we'll go back here because I do show some of the cards. But I do want to mention here, so you got whatever this mystery map is. I think these are like the tries. And then here's your Team Affinity stuff. So remember, this is when we still had a wow. This was when we still had inning programs. So these were back in the day of inning programs where we were still doing like monthly programs. So like you see here, first inning program, team affinity for the East, Central, and then the West there. Sort of, and when I scroll down here, God, that was fast. So we scroll down here, we see, I'm gonna try to pause it here. So you see this Nation of Baseball where you get this nice little Albert Pujols there. So this is still the same, and it's an 89. I don't think it was about the same this year too, but it was a core. This was when every card was available all year round. So now I'm gonna skip, if we skip sort of back here, this is week 1. So you see here, this is tops now from a couple of years ago. We're here, we're still getting, we got some silvers here and we got some golds. There were no diamonds at this point. Now, granted, they are 79s and then 84s. So really, these could have been low diamonds and these could have been golds. That's really neither here nor there. But the one thing I want to bring up that I do is I think I do bring it up. Let me look here. I'm sort of scrubbing as we go here. So I think here, after passing this much, let's talk about this, because this is, I think, kind of a bigger-ish deal when we talk about sort of how the game has gone. And how the game has gone, I would probably make the statement here that one of the things that kind of gets lost in the shuffle here is this. So this, if you are new, these were the programs. This is where our main sort of thing was, right? Were programs. And in these programs, instead of it being a month or 3 months long, as you see there, this is kind of when the game was just coming out here. It was 18 days. So this was about 2 or 3 weeks at this point. And you would play through it. You get one boss, but you get a whole bunch of stuff kind of going through this. Now, realistically, this wasn't a game of trying to finish it. I don't think we necessarily finished it. And to do this, as you see here, this is back when we still had like dailies. You had daily missions. You had exchanges and stuff. So this really, back 3 years ago, was actively trying to get you to play this thing multiple times a week. They were actively trying to do, have you do this with daily missions and stuff and all this stuff. And moments that you could do for the first date. I think this is a lot of these are like the 42 stuff. So there were a bunch of them and all this stuff. And one of the things that they had for this one was this April Daily Moments program. And I know other creators have talked about this. At first, I thought this was very odd, but then this went away. I think this is a 1-year thing, and it was I thought it was kind of a drag because it was cool because it rewarded you for logging in daily, where you could get home, do a moment, and actively try to earn something. For this one, it was Jason Giambi. It was going to be a Jason Giambi card, and eventually you got a Jason Giambi evolution program. And along the way, you got a Roberto Alomar card. He's no longer in the game, but you got some really cool stuff. You got a Giambi card. You got a couple packs. You got a nice Roberto Alomar card. This got changed throughout the year as things went on. So it's 21 to me at least had a little bit more nuance and stuff going for it that we definitely don't have now. Do I think 21 was the end all be all? No, I think 21 definitely sort of had its shortcomings for the most part, but ultimately it did offer, monthly stuff. Like looking here, I'm going to try to see if I can find the actual sort of thing here. Let me go back. So going back, this is the Jason Giambi stuff and how you would unlock him. And if you don't remember, so think of like the stuff we did normally where it was you basically had to do all these missions and there weren't anything overly. I want to say it was you had to do these moments and then you had to get X amount of stuff to unlock him. For the most part, you had to beat. You know what it was? I remember. You had to beat a game. You had to beat them like in a 3-inning game was like the last thing. And I think once you did that, you unlocked him. Remember Frank Tanana? He was in the game for a day. This is back when my team was the California Waves, and we were trying to be like I was trying to be synth wavy. Yeah, I learned from that. But my point is like you did this stuff, and you would get I think we unlocked him there. Is that how that worked? I don't remember. It might have been. Oh, all right. Well, apparently I didn't unlock him there. I don't think. Whatever. Nevertheless, my point remains the same. That there were just like it rewarded you for being active in the game, right? It rewarded you for being slightly active, and they gave out some really cool, really cool stuff. Like one of the things I remember was like a 99 Tim Anderson from like the really cool Field of Dreams event that they had. Now let's skip ahead to next year's game. Let's skip ahead to MLB The Show 22. Now when it comes to MLB The Show 22, I guess I only made like 3 videos on MLB The Show 22, I only made 4 videos for MLB The Show 22. God, I really did just sort of say screw it. So I might not have a lot here for MLB The Show 22. Realistically, which that's fun, I suppose. Yay. But I don't remember MLB The Show. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. I think I can find some stuff here. Hang on. We're going to do this together. Here, this is what we're looking at here. So this was MLB The Show 22. This is 22. What in the son of a knickerbocker? I hit the wrong button. All right, full screen. So here we go. This is MLB The Show 22. God, I remember Jared Weaver being in the game. But this is MLB The Show 24. Is it anything overly exciting sort of content-wise? I don't recall it being it. All I was doing in this video was trying to see if we could get some glitchy boys in the game. And I was using Jared Weaver because Jared Weaver is a glitchy fella. But you sort of see my point that we're trying to get at here, right? I don't remember. I know 22 is a little bit difficult if I recall for collection purposes, but I don't remember anything out of the ordinary on that one. And then we can talk about last year. This one's probably the most pertinent one, would be sort of going on to last year. So we're just going to jump into one where I know I'm recording. I'm talking about the programs. Let's talk about this one. This is definitely a top. Okay, this is the top. This is the monthly awards. This is a good one. This will be good. So here's the monthly awards stuff. This is a monthly awards program. It looks like. So this is top. So this is the Topps Now stuff it tied in, right? And this was incrementally. And at the back end, we got all the award stuff. Was this the better way to do it? I don't know. It was basically the same thing, except it was just broken apart, and they were a little bit more, I guess, connected and confined to it. But this was back when we had, this is the only thing I'm going to say I do miss. I do miss these. I miss these captain cards that kind of came with it, so you could have them weekly. Oh, here's some programs from it. If we were kind of like looking, if we were curious here. Let me see. So it looks like we had the Great Race in 98. I do remember this Mark McGwire card. He wasn't that great. Monthly awards. I think Julio was really good. This was a Tim Anderson card. Moonshot that we're getting. Wow, we got this early. We're getting this tomorrow. We're getting this on Friday. Today's Wednesday. We're getting this on Friday. This was number retirement program. I'm trying to remember who was. I forget. This was like another like weird fill-in one. July. Here's June. So argumentatively, if this is the All-Star week, we're doing better. So keep that in mind, that it looks like the content's flowing a little bit better than it did last year. But I do remember last year, it was like they were pounding you out the gate for some of this stuff. But like I said, if this is the All-Star stuff right here, I'm going to say we're in fairly good shape if this is a benchmarker for All-Star stuff. That we're kind of pushing forward for it at least a little bit, because we already had Hall of Fame programs right here that we didn't have last year. So keeping that thing in check, right? I think we sort of go over it. But like, there's some cards. Jojo Romero. We got You got a Max Kepler player, light card. Jake the Burger card got one. Jake Burger here. Freddie Peralta. And Duvall, Mitch Garver. I don't know if you can see me scrolling down there. Iglesias, Kerry Carpenter. And then look at this Julio. That's a pretty freaking good Julio. Do we talk about... I think I just go over everything. Oh, I do talk about... I remember this program, and I remember it being the oddest program ever. Because, it was like, you got this, like... I remember this. I remember this. This caused really weird controversy. And you're going to be like, well, why did it cause controversy back then? Well, because the cards really weren't that great. That Mark McGwire really wasn't great, and all it really was hitting home runs. It was odd. It was very odd. Very odd time. But, like, you got these they had packs and stuff, so you got... This is kind of when they started pumping out free stuff. But, yeah, you got, like, this... Like, you saw there, Roy Halladay and stuff. But, and these were the packs. You got most of the cards already. They were nothing exciting to write home about in my personal record book. Like, what was this cheater? Do I show this cheater? I really hope I do. Do I? I don't think I do. Nevertheless, so this quick sort of awkward look back. The question at hand is Team Affinity still a necessity for MLB The Show 24 and MLB The Stuff going forward? I will give you this much if you're sort of trying to make this claim. Here's what I'm just going to sort of make the point about. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I think if we had to sort of look at it from a vantage point of someone who's not a psychopath, right? Which I would say most of us are to a certain degree. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. But someone who's not actively going to be playing this game, because there's not, like, even my hours are probably going to be way less at the end of the year because I'm playing more stuff. I'm watching more creators. I'm not just watching baseball creators. I'm watching guys who play other stuff. And I'm playing more stuff because it looks interesting. Now, if that's the case, am I going to play actively to try to get Ryan Sandberg? No. Am I going to play actively to get Ralph Kiner and Orlando Cepeda? No, not really. Am I, am I going to, do any of these guys really tickle me? Not really. But here's what does tickle me, and I think this is where they kind of will drag you in. The action figure series, on the other hand, do drag me in and do sort of make me go, that could be fun. Why? Because this guy's a core card. He's 99. He's a 99 overall. I'd be crazy to be a free-to-play player who actively plays this game, no money spent, and looks and tells you, don't try to complete this collection before it ends, because you can use day one. He's probably going to be a lot of people starting shortstop. And you need 35. And if you complete them all, like right now I'm at 9, because there are some free options. There may be more free options sort of coming, but I assume they're going to want you to get a pack or two of these guys, and their prices are going to be coming down slowly but surely. So you can kind of get this, and it's going to require some grinding. Now, I'm not telling you to play this game 24/7, but if your goal is to get him, I can't say that's a bad goal. He's a 99 card. He's core. Go hog wild. And I think that's what's going to get people in here and get people to play. Because realistically, you're looking at it this way. Like, these cards are going to be expiring soon. They're good cards. And we got like 60,000 shortstops at this point, but these are good cards. And you can wild card them. So I think Team Affinity, in a nutshell, realistically, is... If you want to call it collection fodder, I guess we can call it collection fodder. To get you to this point, to get some of these guys, which at the end of the day, is that a bad thing? No, these are great cards. I do think these are good cards to have and good cards to collect. They are. They're 99s. They can be used for a limited time. Depending on when you're getting, you might have some time to use them. If not, you're not. You're not going to be able to use every card. The only thing that I think they should change is maybe instead of doing seasons, we do resets aren't full resets. I've said this before, and I'm going to keep hammering because this is my solution to this current problem. When it comes to sets and seasons, if you want to have sets and seasons, that's fine for markers. And say, give preferential treatment to season 2. Like you get 1.5 times experience instead of the normal one or whatever. Get a little boost for your PXP or something. But I don't think we should reset cards every year or every season, because at this point, up until that Ernie Banks card, the only cards that were core, that were high level, were these guys: Paul Morrow, Martinez, and Babe Ruth. I just finished core, or I finished the live series. I don't really think there's a lot of people who have. Now, I'm not trying to harp and say that the problem here is Team Affinity. I don't think Team Affinity is an issue. I think Team Affinity, the way it is kind of a symptom of the bigger problem. Ultimately, here's my solution. Coming back in here, here's my solution. I'm trying to just rack. Okay, here's my solution. Season 2. Season 2's reward XP program, I think, should kind of go back to the XP program that was the circumvent one. Remember in 20 where we had a XP program that was outside of it? I think this is what this should be. I think Season 2 should be an overarching thing, but within it, it's broken up into different segments. Part 1 is one segment that has its own program with its own bosses, and then Season 2, Season 3, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. Why? I think it keeps things fresh. I think it puts things more in perspective, and I think it creates a smaller bite-sized version of what this game can be and what it is at its core. It just makes things a little bit more bite-sized, so we're not staring down the barrel of 1 million XP points to get 2 cards, 1,015,000 to get 3. It just, I think, makes things easier. And plus, it sort of makes, to me personally, one thing that drives me nuts is I think these fluff pieces kind of should go away. And plus, I think we need more captain cards. We need more team captains, because this is a little wonky that we haven't gotten them all just for team builds, because we don't know what cards are going to be good. I think that needs to be changed, but that's a discussion for another day. But ultimately, I think sort of breaking it off into thirds is just a good idea. Like, Season 1 ends here, I don't know, 91s to 95. Who knows? Then you break it off, and then you add 3 more mini bosses and sort of keep these guys in there. I don't know. I just think there's a way to, like, sort of put something in the other and one feeds into the other, so it doesn't feel like you're just sort of wasting your time. Now, ultimately, how do I choose to wrap this thing up? Well, the way I'm going to wrap it up is this. I think there's plenty of stuff to like. I think the biggest reason, ultimately, I guess I never answered my own hypothesis, is why do I think content's slow on the uptick in the beginning versus later on? Well, I think it comes down to one simple thing. I think the way content works is it's easier for them to plan ahead than it is for them to plan accordingly. Reason being, I think the first handful of months, the first 30 to 90 days, I think, is just a lot of them trying to get their leggings and their legs underneath them and trying to figure out what works. And ultimately, too, for them, their argument, and I think this is an interesting argument that's worth sort of stating here, is that there was storyline content. If we jump back in here, there was storyline content. You had Negro League stuff that was, these guys are all core that you can get, and you get a nice little captain card, and they added to it as it went along. Do I think they should have been 90s or higher? Yeah. And there was also the Derek Jeter thing. This Derek Jeter stuff, you got some good cards in. You got the Derek Jeter captain for the one, and then when you finish the whole thing, you got this captain of the captains 90 overall card and stuff. So I mean, realistically, it's saying that there's not stuff to do. There was. I just don't think there's enough stuff to do for that long a period of time. Now, there's probably plenty of reasons, and I don't want to travel on and on and on. But in summary, I don't think Team Affinity is necessarily the crux, the linchpin, the thing that makes it all go to poop or makes it good. I think it's just something there that they want people to grind on, and they want to incentivize you to do it. Why? Because it's free, and 2, you can get more stuff if you do it, and all that stuff. Now, granted, do I understand why people sort of think Team Affinity is the problem, especially this year with there being more Team Affinity things at the beginning? And I've seen comments in the reviews, they say, well, why don't you just make it one giant thing and have it go and kind of unlock it? That's what 20 was. The only problem is that it didn't really soft reset, so if you weren't finished with Team Affinity with one team or one area, you couldn't move on. I think that was part of the problem. But That's just one man's opinion. That's just me. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think Team Affinity is the problem? Do you think it's multiple problems? Do you think we should go back to like a 21, which everyone thinks is in very high regard? Or do you think that this is just the way the game is and we need to do a little bit more to embrace this new culture that we're in? Let me know down below. Leave the comments down below. Leave a like if you like it, dislike it, subscribe. So you don't miss more on the action. We're at like 230 or something. That'd be swell if we could hit maybe 300 by the end of the year. I don't know. That'd be swell. And then stuff. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe. Don't miss out. We'll be back here on Friday with the new moments and new stuff. So until next time, my name is Specs, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.